TravelingMel.com.
Hey, welcome to episode 2 of our trip around central Montana and Montana's Missouri River country. If you have not seen the first one, there is a link below and you can click and watch that whole thing and then watch this one. And we hope you really enjoy it. Here we go. Last night we arrived here at Montana Style Events and Bed and Breakfast outside of Havre, and we walked through the door and we're just blown away. This is the cutest place. You can tell that Betsy, the owner, is an interior designer because they're just a million beautiful, interesting Montana style things to look at here. So we had a delicious cocktail. She has a full bar, which we always appreciate, and she made us some really yummy signature cocktails. And just kind of hung out here, had a really, really good night's sleep. The stars were amazing outside, and we had a beautiful sunrise this morning, just gorgeous. So we had, again, another really delicious breakfast. She made us something special, and she's just the best hostess. It's so fun to stay here. It's beautiful, it's warm, it's comfortable. And in fact, we are still here, even though we should be on the road. So we are about to head out, and we are going to stop first in Virgelle, which is this cute little town, not even a town, but a mercantile and a couple of stores, and then head on from there. Are visiting a lot of off the beaten path, only in Montana destinations on this road trip, and the Virgelle Mercantile is no exception. It is this cool, funky little antique store in the middle of nowhere or everywhere, depending on how you look at it, right near the Missouri River, and it's just packed full of really beautiful, old, and also kind of funny and funky retro items there. So definitely worth a stop. And they also have cabins you can rent back there. A lot of people use this area as a jumping off point for launching a trip on the Missouri River in canoes or I guess drift boats or whatever you want to float it with. So there's also a campground just down the road, the Coal Banks campground. And the other really neat thing about the Virgelle Mercantile is that the owners also run the Virgelle Ferry, which is just little ways down the road, which will take your car, it's a car ferry across the Missouri River, which I think is kind of fun to do even if you don't need to cross the river. So Virgelle, put on your list. We're gonna just walk around a little bit and check things out. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, one of the things that is driving this road trip, besides myself and Henry, is the desire to visit some sites of natural history and significance and cultural history and significance. And we have been doing that all along the way. And of course, you gotta stop at breweries, ice cream, pie shops for the sustenance to keep going. But we are here at Decision Point, which is one of the stops on the Lewis and Clark Trail. And they came up here and walked out on this bluff, as we're about to do, to try to determine whether they should go up the Missouri River or the Marias River. Because from this point, they look about the same size. It's hard to tell which is the bigger one that's gonna take them to the mountains and to the west, to Oregon. So they made the right choice, but we're gonna go up and see kind of how hard it is and if we also would have made the right choice.
The way they decided on the Missouri was because the Marias was silty and had a sandy bottom, which is indicative of stream-fed rivers, whereas the Missouri had a rocky bottom and was a lot clearer. which is more of a river from the mountains.
Oh. We followed the Missouri River upstream, just like Lewis and Clark, and are in Fort Benton, Montana. And this is a town, obviously it's Montana. This is a town on the Missouri River. It's beautiful. It is a historic town, and I have not read any of the signs yet, but I believe steamships came up as far as here, and so it was important for that. There's this big, beautiful old hotel called the Grand Hotel, where people would get off the steamships and stay, and you can still stay there. I've stayed there. It's really nice. We also stopped here because it is on the Pie a la Road, which is the Central Montana Pie Trail, and we are going to get some pie right now, maybe lunch, but maybe just pie for lunch. It's hard to say what's going to happen. And then we're going to explore Fort Benton a little more. Well, that pie from the wake up was so delicious that I kind of want to go get more. But to burn it off, we are walking across the first metal bridge over the Missouri River.
2 people died making it.
2 people died making it. And there's so much to see here in Fort Benton, including like several historical museums and old Fort Benton itself that has some Lewis and Clark stuff, like a replica keelboat and some statues. There's lots of stuff around town, some cute antique stores or boutique stores. And I called the hotel the wrong thing earlier, so I'm going to tell you now, it's the Grand Union Hotel. But I stand by how fun it is to stay there. I'm really excited about this next stop on our historical, cultural, outdoor, recreational field trip. We are going to be meeting with Candace from Farmer's Daughter's Fibers and learning about the processes she uses to dye yarn and to do some other things. And she started this really small business in a basement, and today actually she's opening a brand new shop up on in downtown Great Falls. But we're going to her studio today. As a knitter and wool enthusiast, I'm pretty excited about it, and I think just learning about the process will be really great for the kids. Well, that was super interesting, getting to meet Candace and her husband and seeing how this whole process worked. It's much more labor intensive than I would have guessed for a company that produces so much fiber. So they basically are dyeing yarn in really small batches. And as a knitter, I find it very interesting. We're excited to go check out their storefront tomorrow morning, I think, before we go. And
now on to Rock City.
And now we are going on to Rock City. There's a little bit of a breeze. I don't know if you can notice it, but this is one of those off the way off the beaten path kind of Montana places. We had to drive across a farmer's field. You're allowed to get here, and now we're just at the edge of the spot where the Two Medicine River and the Birch Creek come together, and then they flow into the Marias River. And there's all these limestone hoodoos and pillars that were eroded away by water that we're gonna go check out, do a little geology lesson, try not to get blown away. I mean, like, my legs actually hurt because of the dust and rocks blowing into them. But it's a really surreal, cool environment. And Don't come out here if it's at all wet, because the roads, they're dirt roads, just turn to gumbo. So it has to be dry. It gets really hot in the summer. Bring water, sunscreen, all the precautionary stuff. Whoa. It's so windy. Let's go check it out. Blown away by Rock City and ended up here in Bynum, where we're going to be visiting the Two Medicine Dinosaur Center and looking way back into Montana's history. There's some pretty significant finds from this area, but I'm going to wait until we talk to Corey inside to tell you what they are, because I don't feel like I have a very clear understanding, but I believe there were fossilized eggs from a myosaur. So we'll find out. One thing I should say is we're doing most of our activities outside right now because we like to, but also because of the pandemic. But when we do go inside, we always, wear a mask and check with people and see what the policy is. But what I like here is that their sign on the door says that you're supposed to say one velociraptor apart from other people, not your party. Yeah, I mean, like, what's the purpose of a tail like that?
So there's us, there is Yale,
The Dinosaur Museum in Bynum was really great. We came down here to Choteau to see some other big dinosaurs, but they have a couple really important things in there. And if you're going between Glacier and Yellowstone, or Yellowstone and Glacier, you go right by it on Highway 89, and it's well worth a stop inside for a little bit. They do dino digs and things too. You can do field work with them. But one of the really cool things is they have this replica skeleton of a Seismosaurus, and it's the longest mounted dinosaur skeleton in the world, so that's pretty cool to see there. And then they also have all these bones of little baby dinosaurs, the first ones, and it's still windy out, by the way. And what's about those bones that's so important?
Well, the discovery of those indicated that dinosaurs actually took care of their children after they're hatched, instead of just leaving them to die.
And all that has made us hungry, so we're getting back on the pie trail and going to the log cabin here in Choteau to get some pie.
Pie!
Pie!
We are back on the pie trail, the Pie a la Road, and we got quite a selection here. So I think we have like an apple ginger, a huckleberry peach, blueberry raspberry, and cherry rhubarb, if I'm remembering correctly. And it all looks really good. The Log Cabin Cafe is super cute. We're sitting outside, no one else is because it's kind of cold. And it's past lunchtime anyway. But it's cute inside, so if you're here during, non-COVID times, it would be great to go inside and eat and then have some pie. Cheers. We are staying at the historic Hotel Arvon, which is this really cool boutique hotel. You have to wear a mask inside, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be. But there's all this art along the walls, and even though it's a historic hotel, it's totally updated and modern and really cute. So we have a couple suites. This has been a great base camp, and this is pretty much my favorite place to stay in Great Falls. We've been here a couple days, so we're a little bit spread out. It's kind of messy, but there's this great sitting area. We use it to work, a kitchenette, I should say, where you can make snacks and hot tea and coffee. And then The bedroom with the big comfy bed. Good morning from Great Falls. We had another very restful, wonderful night at Hotel Arvon and a yummy breakfast at El Banco this morning, this cute coffee shop. And since we went to the dyeing studio for Farmer's Daughter Fibers yesterday, we're gonna go check out the shop today, and we'll see if I can get out of here without buying any yarn. Well, I only bought one skein of yarn, so I think that's pretty good. We are winding up our road trip through central Montana and Montana's Missouri River country with a stop for pie, of course. And here in White Sulphur Springs, we went to the Brandon Iron and got some pie. We're eating it in a little park and rest area kind of place. Normally, maybe we would go in the hot springs here because that's great too. But thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this field trip and learned a lot and saw a lot and can use it for planning your own safe, fun, educational, socially responsible, and everything else trip through Montana.
Bye. 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 Bye.